What are the 7 dumbest things that ever came out of the fitness industry? As you guys probably know, this industry is based on blatant lies, steroid-filled morons, fake experts, and just, a bunch of people who really have no clue what they're talking about. And, snake oil salesman, here's the weight loss pill, and all the other things that you know this industry for. But out of the hundreds and hundreds of options, I chose 7 dumbest things that ever came out from the fitness industry. So let's go right into it. What's up, guys? This is Coach Amir from 7figurebody.com, and in today's video, this should really be a good one. We're going to cover 7 dumbest things that ever came out of the fitness industry. And you guys probably know, based on what I do and how I approach fitness, which is science-based and real-world proven, things that really make sense from the standpoint of human physiology and psychology. So somebody just telling you, hey, don't eat 23 hours of the day, great. Right? Well, sure, but how's that going to actually work out in real world, right? So without further ado, if you haven't already, I first want to ask you, subscribe, click the button below, subscribe to this channel, because this is probably the only or very rare channel when you're going to get the actual truth on how successful entrepreneurs get ripped. We have a bunch of testimonials, over 1,150 clients so far. You can see a bunch of them at 7figurebody.com/case studies. So you can check that out. You can also click the link in the description here and see the 3 steps that I use to get any entrepreneur from wherever they are to completely ripped and shredded. So check that out. And without further ado, let's go into the 7 things. All right, guys, so the number 1 dumbest, stupidest thing that ever came out is saying that the calories are not king for weight loss or weight gain. So of course, anybody with a brain cell knows that calories are king. And of course, people who are still not on that train simply don't understand that the calories in, calories out, what's known as the energy balance equation is dynamic. So if you start eating less, the expenditure of calories reduces as well. And of course, there are several components of the calories expenditure part of that equation, and that's what they don't understand. And that's why they don't think that, oh, calories are not king, so they don't understand how it works. But that does not mean that they're not wrong. They simply are wrong. So anybody ever telling you that calories are not king, know that they have no clue what they're talking about, or they probably have some kind of pill or magic supplement to sell you that you can just, sit on your ass, do nothing, and get shredded just by taking the little pill. Well, none of that will be ever found here or in anything I do or on this channel. So remember, calories absolutely are king for weight loss and weight gain. Number 2, the second thing is actually using the scale, weight scale, to measure your weight loss or fat loss progress. This is a terrible idea for the most part, simply because, remember guys, your body is 65% or so of water. If you dehydrate yourself a little bit, you're going to drop several pounds on that scale, and that absolutely does not mean that you lost any body fat. You can also lose muscle, lose water, you can lose intestinal matter, you can lose glycogen from your muscles. There's so many things that can happen that absolutely influence your total weight up or down a couple of pounds every single day even, not to say, weekly. So using the only scale is a terrible idea. Now, I'm not saying that you should never use the scale, but it is good to use the scale to look at the general trend of how things are happening over several weeks. But if you try to use the scale, I know some people that weigh themselves every single day. Well, if you do that, you will realize that your weight jumps up and down several pounds every single day, and this is completely normal. By the way, guys, 1 gram of carbohydrates ties 3 to 4 grams of water to it. So if you have a lower carb diet for 2 days, you can drop 5 to 10 pounds of water easily. By the way, this is what exactly all low carb, keto, carnivore, all these diets do. You just get dehydrated. You flush out all the water and you think you lost, 11 pounds in a week or whatever. No, it's just all water. So remember, using only the scale is not a good idea. I'm not against using it as a part of several different tools that you're using to measure, but looking at overall trends over several weeks, that's what scale is really good for. What is a better way to use? It is body fat calipers. So you use calipers and measure your body fat percentage. And even then there's some issues with that. People, even if the same person or people use the body fat calipers, something like this, right? It can be, the reading can be rather not consistent every single week. So even then, it's, our margin of error is probably going to be way higher than what you can achieve in that week, but it's still better than the scale. The third stupidest thing that came out in this industry is veganism. Now, I used to be and I'm going to do, of course, a separate video just on veganism. Just like everything else, veganism has some good things, has way more bad things about it, of course. But when I really became less kind of aggressive, if you will, against the whole movement, is when I realized that when I had clients who are vegan and we worked together and I asked them, knowing that this is suboptimal to say the least, like it's being very kind to say that veganism is a suboptimal approach to losing body fat and especially your health. Why would somebody be vegan? Like I would ask a vegan, why is it the case? And they would tell me that really vast majority of vegans love animals so much that they believe that by them being vegan, fewer animals out there are going to be sacrificed for food. And then since they already believe that for helping animals cause, then the confirmation bias kicks in and says, hey, let me try to find reasons or ways that the veganism is also healthy. Of course, such thing doesn't really exist because it's not healthy, it's terrible for you. Of course, it's the reference point, right? If somebody's morbidly obese and is eating all junk food all the time, probably vegan diet is better for them, certainly. But for somebody who's already moderately active, moderately lean, and has moderately good diet, veganism compared to that is absolutely a worse option. So I'm just gonna leave it at there. But I'm absolutely going to do a full video on veganism alone. All right, so number 4 stupidest or dumbest thing that came out in the industry is keto diet. You've probably heard one of the biggest fads of the last decade, if not more, even though keto has been around for more than 100 years. So it's not something that's new. And in that case, it's really not a fad, but it's just, one of these diets that was never meant to be a weight loss diet. But of course, marketers saw what it is and they're like, oh, this is great new opportunity. Let's jump on it. They made it into a diet. It was never designed to be that. So basically, what is keto? Keto is extremely low carb, high fat, and moderate protein diet, if you will. But really, no keto zealot really thinks about protein at all. They don't care about it. They're just like, it's a high fat, extremely low carb diet. That's what it is. And of course, if you think it doesn't get dumber than keto, it does. It's called carnivore. So keto is a very, very, very low carb diet. Carnivore is almost a zero carb diet. So it does get dumber. It's called carnivore. And I'm also going to do a video on keto. And when we do, we're going to link it somewhere here so you can see why you absolutely should not do keto and why there are many, many other options that are infinitely better. The 5th dumbest thing that came out in the industry is this idea that in order to lose weight, you just have to exercise a lot. Like you have to do hours and hours and hours of cardio, and that's the way to do it. So if you're not willing to do 3 hours of cardio a day, you're never gonna lose weight. And or if somebody is really, really focused on doing cardio and doing a lot of it, they will lose weight. We both now know that both of those things are not true. They're absolutely false. First, you don't have to do any exercise at all to begin with. And obviously that's not something I suggest, not doing exercise. You certainly should do exercise, both lifting, way more important than cardio. And if you want to and like it, you should do some cardio as well, just for cardiovascular health. But generally speaking, cardio and especially lifting are very, very inefficient ways of burning calories and creating that calorie deficit needed to lose body fat effectively. So you don't really have to do cardio at all. You don't have to do any exercise to lose weight. You can do it without it. Again, I'm not suggesting you don't exercise. You certainly should exercise. But when I have a client who says, hey, I just hate exercising, it's a non-starter for me. If you tell them they have to exercise, they just won't do anything. Well, is it then better for them to stay overweight or to say, well, let's work on your diet, and even if you're not exercising, without exercise at all, just with diet, we're gonna get you lean. What's healthier? It's absolutely healthier for them to actually just do diet and get leaner, because it's so much healthier to be lean than overweight. So that's the context I say and think about when I say you don't have to exercise at all, okay? For people for whom, if you say they have to exercise, it's like a non-starter, they won't do anything, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing, somebody doing a lot of exercise is, automatically going to lose a lot of weight. We know that's not true. If you've ever tried running or, heat exercise, heat cardio or whatever other thing, and you've probably noticed that when you do a lot of cardio, whether you do a lot of exercise or not, you don't really lose any weight more often than not. Studies have actually shown this. They take a bunch of subjects in a study, give one group, no exercise at all. The other group does 3 workouts per week. Guess what happens? Nobody loses any weight on average. Why? Because the calorie expenditure from exercise is so minuscule that it contributes to such a small calorie deficit, if there's any, that it's not really relevant in any way. So you don't really have to do excessive exercise. And lately, just the other day, I've seen the Will Smith, best shape of my life video or something, where the emphasis is still on that. He has to do cardio in the morning, lifting during the day. Like, he has to work out twice a day, 7 days a week. It's a terrible approach, because first, it's not realistic to anybody. For anybody who has a family, a job, a business, a child or children, you're not going to be exercising, twice a day, every day for the rest of your life, number one. And number two, even if you could, you really shouldn't. It's bad for you to do too much exercise. Okay, for health, there is a very finite, and again, I'm going to do another video on this, very finite amount of exercise is needed in order to get maximum benefits. Beyond that, especially when it comes to cardio, beyond that, it actually becomes a negative impact on your health. So in short, you do not have to exercise excessively for hours every day. 2 to 3 workouts per week total are more than enough to optimize your health. And all the weight loss really is going to come from fat loss, and weight loss is going to come from your diet, not through exercise. 6th dumbest things that I've ever heard is called relationship with food. This usually comes from these hippies and people who are kind of like spiritual whatevers. And it's basically relationship with food. You don't have relationship with food. You don't look at the apple and say, I genuinely love this apple. I have romantic feelings toward my apple and it's wonderful. You don't have relationship with food. You have a relationship with live human beings or, maybe pets or animals, sure, but you don't have relationship to spinach. You don't have relationship to, chicken breast. I won't say anything else. It's just, there is no such thing. Relationship with food does not exist. We shouldn't fix our relationship with food. That's the dumbest thing ever. And the final thing that is really similar to the 6th thing is when you hear, this is again hippies and usually, people who are absolutely clueless about how any of this works, when they say, the best thing that happened to me in all of weight loss journey that I've gone through my life is when I stopped dieting. Okay, stopped dieting. Well, first let's think about the word diet comes from the Greek word, which really means the way of life, the way of living, which means the way of eating. So the way somebody eats, that's really what a diet means. So as long as you are alive, you are a live human being, and you eat food to survive, you have a diet. So you cannot stop dieting. Of course, this comes from, these people's misunderstanding of what the word means. Of course, what they probably mean is, they associate dieting with starvation, which is absolutely incorrect. You can certainly be in a calorie deficit, appropriate calorie deficit for you at being losing body fat without ever being hungry. This is really the goal of all my programs. I've had 1,150 clients, never had one client ever be hungry on their journey to getting an awesome top shape of their life. So when basically when these clueless people are associating being in a calorie deficit with being hungry, that's what they think dieting is. Dieting in their case, in their mind, is starvation, suffering, I hate my life because I'm dieting. Sure, when you're doing it wrong, well, I hate it. I would absolutely hate it too. And in that case, I understand. But remember, you can't stop dieting as long as you're a human being. You have to eat to survive. So that's pretty much it, guys. Those are the 7 dumbest things that I've seen in this industry. And of course, there's so much more. I didn't even want to talk about all the testo boosters, the pills, the magic weight loss pills, because you are, as an entrepreneur, way too smart to think that there is such a thing that actually works. Of course, there isn't. So I hope you liked it. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click the like button below. Also, click that notification bell, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, because every Friday and Sunday we're coming up with new videos showing you how to get into absolutely best shape ever, so you can, as a successful entrepreneur, have an awesome looking, high performing body to go along with your business success. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.